Hello and welcome back to Couples Drive, where married couples share their stories from when they met, courted, got married, and beyond. I'm your host, Atuboyan. Today we are continuing from where we left off with Nana Adwoa and Sunny, and this is part 2 of my ride with them. Take a look. So how long have you guys been married?
2 days. No.
2 days?
No, like what, 3 weeks?
Like 3 weeks. Come to find out, this guy, he eats so much, and he eats at all hours of the night.
Nana, is everything that you expected and hoped for?
So as I mentioned before, I didn't really have high expectations because I didn't want to be one of those girls who had this fairy tale vision of marriage, you know. But so far it's been great. So far it's only been 3 weeks since we've been living together, you know. It's still fresh, so we're still in like our, I guess, honeymoon stage. So I'm anticipating like reality, like, and I feel like I've kind of like prepped myself for it. Like, everything is not always going to be peaches and cream. Everything's not going to be so good. And one thing that I feel like Sunny and I do is like, we have discussions, because you're always changing. You know, the way you are today is not going to be the way you are next month, or your views today is going to change next month. So I feel like having an open communication about that consistently is going to help, instead of thinking like, oh, like, he's my husband, this is my wife, and everything's so perfect. And then when reality hits, you're like, oh, what have I gotten myself into? Right. So I don't have this, I'm just taking it day by day and just, enjoying the process, as he said.
It's funny she mentioned discussions, because we actually had a discussion, what was it, I think Thursday, the 1 month. She had a laundry list of things.
Because I feel like since we're newlyweds, I want us to have like a family meeting at least once a month. For now. I mean, obviously it's not going to be once a month forever when things start changing. But for now that we're getting to know each other, and whatever's bothering you, or whatever you feel like, I need to, or he needs to improve on, or what I like, what I don't like, put it out in a safe environment, safe conversation, instead of like, you don't do this, or sometimes you don't even talk about it, but it's in you, and then your attitude is changing. And then you're like, but why is he acting? Why she's acting this way? And you don't know why. Because most of the time, you don't even know why a person's upset with you. So then discuss it in a way where it's not like you're nagging, or you're not like always like criticizing, but in like a loving way.
So I take it as that is one of the things that you guys looking forward to do to make sure you're married.
Oh, definitely. For me, because I like to talk about my feelings. He doesn't like that too much.
I love to listen.
Oh, please.
And then here and there, give my 2 cents,
So what are some of the adjustments you've had to make, Sunny, to some of the things you don't like about Nana? The fact that she sleeps.
Well, honestly speaking, I mean, that doesn't bother me, only because...
And besides that, some adjustments you've had to make in your life, maybe friends, hanging out with friends a lot.
I mean, the only adjustment I had to make, that I made some time ago, is just, being true to myself and understanding that, in order for me to have a successful marriage, I need to position myself in a way where, in places where I'm not compromised.
Okay.
Or I'm not...
Compromise how? Like,
compromise meaning like, put in a situation where, a girl situation, a cheating situation, something like that, because... I feel like those type of things can happen, or will happen, if you put yourself in certain situations. So if I remove myself from those situations, then the chances of that happening is less.
Right. But he probably understands. The thing is, Sunny has more female friends than guy friends. He doesn't have a lot of guy friends. He used to have a lot of like female friends. So I guess that's what he's talking about in terms of like, because that's like kind of random. You know what I mean? Like, so I was just trying to give him the backstory.
Oh, yeah, but yeah. So that's pretty much one adjustment I had to make.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nana.
One adjustment I had to make. Sonny's very particular. He's like OCD particular. I always knew he's very clean and organized. But I feel like he's a little obsessive in certain things where I'm like, it's not that serious, you know, or like if the line is not straight, he's gonna, you know, have a fit or something. So that's one adjustment, you know. Well, I'm still adjusting, I should say.
Yeah, that was a part of the laundry list that we had during our first month meeting on Thursday.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so
I'm just like, you know, you have to
tone it down a little bit. So
I don't want him to change, but it's just like, if the place is not dirty, it's not like it's dirty or it's a mess. It could just be something like the pillow is not positioned a certain way, and you gotta fix it. It's like, but why? Like, pick and choose your battles. Like, was it bothering you that much?
So let's say if something comes up before that monthly discussion, what do you guys do? Do you discuss it right away, or you have to table it?
Good question.
I guess for me, it depends on the magnitude of the situation, though. If it's something minor, whack a weight, then yeah. But obviously, if it's something really important or major, then for me, I can't hold.
I was just about to answer it. Knowing her, I don't think so. It'll be discussed
right
whenever she wants. Yeah, and it doesn't have to wait till that month because she just loves discussion. So.
Because I'm the type of person, though, I'm very free and loving. So if something is bothering me, I don't like to be awkward, and I don't want to be uncomfortable. I need to express it so that I can be myself again. Otherwise, you're going to see the change, and I don't want to be in a situation, even with just friends, not just like a relationship with my husband, but just with my friends. If I'm not comfortable with you and I'm acting strange, I have to discuss it so that I can be free and be back to myself. Otherwise, we can't be. It can't be a happy matrimony in either situation.
Do you guys think sex is a game changer in marriage?
Yes.
Is it?
Yes. And I guess my response would be the typical male response, you know, because as our pastor told us during our one of our premarital stuff.
Counseling. Yeah,
premarital counseling. And I agreed with him, you know. Men definitely, men absolutely, what's the word I'm looking for?
Need?
Not only need, I feel like men just are more concerned with sex than women. You know, a woman can be perfectly fine a week without sex or whatever the case. I mean, I'm sure some men as well can be, but, you know, a man definitely wants to engage in sex way more than a woman does. Okay. Or more often than a woman does, at least.
And so without it, do you think the lack of it all...
I mean, I think it could be detrimental, absolutely. You know, depending on the individual. I mean, there's some men who love sex, you know, a lot. So if they're not getting it from their wife or partner as often, absolutely, in that situation. But if you're, like, in between, like myself, I mean, because I love sex, but I don't love sex, like, every day. Like, that's a little bit too much for me, to be honest.
Who does that?
Even though mentally, like, you know, you can think, I'll think about it, but, like, I don't want to engage in sex every day. So, you know, it's like a happy medium for me. So, you know, once a week, twice a week, it's not a big deal. I mean, if it's like 4 times a week, then it's like, damn, babe, you gotta take it easy. It's a little bit too much.
Definitely.
I mean, mentally, I'll be like, yeah. But in reality, it's like, oh my God, not again. So.
Nana, do you agree?
Okay, you said it's sex a game changer.
Yeah.
I definitely agree that it is. And like he said, it depends on really your partner. But, I mean, sex is important to men at the end of the day. You know what I mean?
Is it important to you?
Oh, to me?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Also, yeah, not only men.
Sex is not important to me.
Okay.
I can be... I mean, when we were courting, we weren't having sex.
Okay.
When we came back we did not have sex until we got married. I mean, some people won't believe that, but that's really the reality of it. Mm-hmm. Because I wanted to make sure that we loved each other, even if this was taken out. Okay. You know, that we still wanted to be with each other. And Sonny definitely proved himself because he's a man that loves sex. But I do think it's detrimental. It's not important to me. I'm more like emotional. I'm more like, I like intimacy more than sex. But I know guys like sex more than intimacy. It's just the way the female and the male is built, to be honest. I can just be laid up, just cuddling with you, kissing, and I'm okay with that. But it's not important to me. But you know, if it's important to my partner, obviously I'd have to make adjustments to that, you know.
Now, Sandy, you did mention that during your premarital counseling, your pastor did talk about sex. What are some of the things that you found out that, you know, were very instrumental, has been very instrumental during your premarital counseling?
Well, that's a great question. And I'm just thinking back about one thing the pastor said. He was like, I think, I'm not sure which way it went, but he said men are from Venus and women are from Mars, something like that, one of those. And I think that is 100% true, because men and women speak different languages. Like how she just mentioned about, you know, one of the things that in our heated arguments or debates or whatever, like my approach or my tone and not what I say is how I say it, I think that factors into like all aspects, because women are more emotional. And it's in everything. It's their conversation, their approach to things, their thinking, everything that they do. In my opinion, I mean, not to generalize, but a good amount of women are more emotional in their decisions, and men are more like, we just think, like, you know what I mean? We think differently. So like, you know, so like in a conversation or even in a debate, if you don't catch yourself a lot of times, you know, both sides, you'll just keep clashing all the time. You'll never agree because you're saying the same thing, but you're just saying it differently. You know, so I feel like that's one thing that he said that's absolutely resonated in my mind, and I think about, you know, when there's about to be a argument or a discussion, I just try to try to approach it differently. You know, so that was, I remember that day, and it was a good session that day. It was a great session.
Yeah, it was a good session.
It was a good session. So.
Now, do you think your faith has really helped you in this marriage?
I mean, we've only been married for 2 weeks or 3 weeks.
Well, I mean, the whole process.
Absolutely.
You did mention that you stayed away from sex during the courting, and that is because of your, obviously, your values and your faith.
Yeah, I mean, it was many factors, but definitely, but absolutely, it has. I don't even know, like, where to begin with that, but I don't even know. It has. Like, I'm getting, like, emotional when I think about it. It has. I just feel like throughout this whole process, like, honestly, if it was, and this is how I know, honestly, that Sonny is my husband, because the stuff that I felt like God put us through, and I'm not really one of those people who are holier than thou, that's like everything, blessed day, God willing. I'm not one of those throw my religion. Sometimes people will be really surprised how spiritual I am, because I don't throw it in people's faces like that. But throughout this whole process, God has been in the midst of everything, even to the point where, like, when Sonny and I reconnected, Sonny wasn't going to church, and you know, he grew up in Pentecost, so he grew up a believer. But you know, there are times where sometimes you, like, because of people and because of men, you doubt the church, because you have all these thoughts about, well, you know, there's a God, well, why is this, blah, blah, blah. So there was a time where Sonny kind of drifted away from the church. And when we were connected and we were courting, like, that was something that was very important to me. I could not marry or move forward with someone who we were different. We weren't evenly yoked in that area. And I never forced him to come to church. I was going to my church. He was doing his thing. I never forced him. We didn't even have like, no, we had it, but it wasn't like a lot. It wasn't like that was something that I was like put in his head, like, you need to come to church. If you don't, whenever we did discuss it, I just told him what was important to me. And one day out of the blue, he wanted to come to church with me. And then he'll come here and there once in a while. Another day, unbeknownst to me, he stood up and went down and gave his life to Christ again. You know what I mean? And just even him respecting me enough to, like, wait with me. I just feel like that's all God. Like, what else could that be? That was not me at all. You know, God just really moved. And if you know our story, like I told, like, I don't know. I like, us coming back together is just really, like, the Lord. And my faith in Him is so solid and so tremendous. And I feel like, I mean, I don't know. I couldn't, like, we couldn't be. And I couldn't be without it, to be honest.
So, you guys have been married for 3 weeks, you said. 3 months. It's not 3 months, 3 weeks.
Yeah,
I mean, what are you counting from? Are you counting from our
fellow
culture?
Ghanaian.
Traditionally, it's 3 months.
Yeah.
Okay, but
almost 3 months. But we never lived together until 3 weeks ago,
Okay.
2 weeks ago.
okay, so you've been married for 3 weeks technically.
Okay,
Alright.
so living together is what constitutes as being married.
Anyway, so what I was going to ask is, if you were to look back and give any counsel or advice to your younger self before you got married, and this is, towards young men and women who are thinking of getting married, what man or what type of man, what kind of man do you look for, or should they look for, Nana?
To my younger self,
Yeah.
What kind of man? Okay, so what kind of man should I tell my younger self to look for?
Yes.
I hate this. Like I said, I'm not one of those religious person. But to be honest, I really feel like having a man who... Actually, no. Now I'm going to change my thought. I was going to say having a man who is God-fearing, like spiritual, is good. But actually, I'm going to take that back, because there are a lot of spiritual guys, men and God-fearing men who sometimes they don't like act that way
Measure up.
exactly within their relationships. So I'd have to say just a man who at least is making efforts to want to be better in all aspects of his life, in his spirituality, and his relationships, and his finances, and his work, every aspect. So I guess, I don't know what's the one word that I can use to describe that, because I can't say a man who just believes in God, because I feel like there are lots of men, unfortunately, who believe in God, but they don't act accordingly. And you can't just say a man who respects you, because actually you can't say that, because if he respects you, sometimes that open doors, that can be a gateway for other things to like happen. So I would say a man who respects.
Would this word be okay for you, like a more rounded person?
Okay.
I don't know if that is even sufficient.
I know, that's what I'm saying. I'm trying to find the perfect word, but well-rounded, open, who's making efforts. A man who's always willing to try and be at his best. Try. I feel like trying and continuously evolving is very important. Because when you just say, no, this is how I am, you're never going to change, and you're never going to grow, and you're never going to be a better person, because you feel like this is you, and you're not going to...
Right.
Even when it comes to religion, if you don't try to understand, if you don't try to make efforts to go to church, you don't want to try, you're not going to grow. If you're just like, oh, I don't believe in God, or Christians are hypocrites, and you're just stuck there, there's no resolution.
Sonny, how about you?
For me, I just think it's somewhat simple.
What you would give your younger self?
I would just say, to myself and to, anyone who's
looking to get married,
going along this journey, just look for someone who compliments you. Look for someone who pushes you. Look for someone who makes you want to be better. I feel like if, we all have room to grow. So if you have a partner who, makes you want to grow in any aspect, financially, spiritually, work-wise, that's a plus in your book. Because why? Because you're helping yourself, and then in turn, you're helping the relationship. So I feel like as long as both sides are, helping each other improve, I think that's the key. To be honest, I don't think there's really, anything special to it besides that for me. It's just, helping along the way, because it's a long journey we're all on. So
it's so funny, because I always ask Sonny these questions, because he always say, oh, like that was a good answer, but you're a good person. I think that was one of the things he said about me. I'm like a good person, but some of Sonny's ex-girlfriends are a good woman. Like, they're good females. They're successful right now, and I'm always like, what the hell is the difference? You know what I mean? Because they're just as nice and good, and they're just as successful. And it's always like, what is the defining difference? To be honest,
the defining difference is because I always wanted you. It might sound...
Isn't this the moment that you go like, oh?
I'm a different type of girl. I'm like
it might sound like, simple or fake, but it's really that simple. Like, you're right. There are, I have known females in my life that have had some of those good qualities, but I feel like you're the total package, and, you have a lot of what I'm looking for, if not 100%, a good 90% of it. So that's really why.
You got your answer now?
I guess.
You're not gonna cry, right? So, finally, my final thought and my final question is, what do you guys think? I think I asked a similar question, and you can answer this in the same format or not. But what I wanted to know is, what do you guys think are some of the things that you should do to make sure that your marriage is healthy? I think you did mention, weekly hanging out, or
That's what it was courting.
I mean, I would say just a combination of a little bit of everything we've been saying. One, definitely open line of communication is absolute key. Always continue to communicate. I mean, also the courting thing wouldn't be bad, but not courting, just going on dates here and there.
Right.
This is keep it interesting or whatever. That's also a plus. But mostly the communication, though, because there are a lot of things that tend to fester in us humans. Something could happen, and we'll just keep it to ourselves, and then just let it build and build. So I think as long as we communicate it, I think we should be going down the right path.
I agree with what he said, but for me, I have like 3 major things. One is so simple, but it's so hard for us human beings to do. It's just amazing. I've heard this several times. Our pastor also said it. If we're both selfless, and I think of him 100% and do everything that he likes 100%, and he also in turn is doing the same, and he's selfless and thinking of me and doing everything for me 100%, then there will be no need for either one of us to be selfish, because we'll both be taken care of, right? Because I'm taking care of him and he's taking care of me. So I don't have to be like, well, I'm thinking of myself, and he doesn't have to be, well, he's thinking of himself. And it's so simple, and it's such like, I don't understand why human beings can't do that. I mean, I guess by nature we're selfish, I guess. But if we were able to pull that off, that would definitely help in sustaining the relationship. The second thing is, I feel like you have to like each other. I'm not a big fan of love. Everybody's in love. I'm in love with Sunny. I love Sunny, and I guess because we've known each other for a long time, so I'm not like phased by the whole. I feel like that word is overused and it's saturated a little bit. I'm in love. I love. You have to like your partner. Because there were, over the course of the years, of course, in and out. Didn't think we were going to get back together. I feel like married people and people who have been together for a long time, they fall in and out of love. It's just about, how are you guys going to get back to that place? What are you guys doing there? So, and I feel like you have to like that person in order to do that, in order to get back to that love. So if you don't like each other, that's when things keep drifting apart. So I feel like you have to be friends, and you have to really like each other. And if we continue to like each other's company and just be friends first and foremost, I feel like that would definitely help. I feel like that's what's helped us throughout this time, because we've always been friends. Even when we didn't, when we weren't together, even when we were with other people, when we've always been each other's friend. And then lastly, you have to, I honestly do believe in the evenly yoked thing. You have to have a foundation that you guys both could build on and agree on, because we're young now, so we can find likes, right? But as we get older, we're not going to like the same things. We're not going to be going out as much. We're not going to be even sexually active as much. Our looks are going to be fading. So you have to find something that you guys would be able to bring you guys together. And I feel like, when you get older, what's the one thing that older people usually turn to? Church. Like going to church, so if you guys are both not like, and it doesn't have to be religious, but spiritual, both going to church together, or having, even if you're not a Christian, or having that one thing that always brings you guys together, then that's not gonna work. Because when you get older, you drift apart and everybody's doing their own thing, and it's like your roommates, and you're not even like having like a relationship, So I feel like those are the 3 things that we would need.
Thank you guys so much. And what would be your last word to the audience watching Sunny?
I would say enjoy the process. Don't rush it. You know, we all want to be married. You know, I know there are a lot of women out there who are not married. It's okay. Take your time. Don't rush it. When you find the person, you'll find the person. And just, you know, that's all I have to say. Just be patient. Enjoy the process.
All right, Nana.
I would say the same thing. I'll say definitely enjoy the process, and don't look into Instagram and Facebook and these glamorous, you know, things to sway your decisions and your feelings. And, you know, just, you gotta do what's best for yourself, you know, and whatever that is. I'm sure we heard a lot of people when we didn't have a wedding here, but we had to just continue to just keep us and not everybody else in mind and what we wanted to do, because you could easily get so lost and then you don't even remember, you know, what happened. And then I'll say, like, for the ladies out there, just know your worth. At the end of the day, know your worth. It doesn't mean you have to be every time a guy comes you shutting them down, but be willing to, if somebody's worth it, be willing to grow with them and work with them and learn with them, but without compromising what you feel like you need as a woman and as for your future as well. So that's what I would say.
Hey, welcome back. Thanks for sticking around. That was part 2 of my ride with Nana Adwoa and Sunny. And as usual, I hope you picked something up for your own relationship. That is what Couples Drive is all about, right? Thank you for sticking around once again. And please make sure you subscribe to our videos on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook so that you'll be notified of new videos. Thank you once again, and I'll see you next time. Let's keep love alive. Bye.